instructions until after the video, guys. That way I can just plow through it. Okay. So we're done painting with the standard brush and our custom stroke, the color spray, and the Alpha 7, and then using the RGB. What we're going to do next is we're going to use actual textures. And these textures right here are going to be, guys, in your week 16 folder. So if I go to our week 16 main page, right? If I go to modules, week 16 at the very, very end, and I click on the main page, at the very bottom, you guys will have the link to the Dart 106 assets folders, okay? So there, you guys are gonna find a place called images, and inside of images, you have a folder called fingernails, okay? You guys are going to download this folder, and you guys will see that this folder right here has 3 images of fingernails. They're really high resolution, okay? Let me move this to one side real quick. You guys will also notice that this fingernail right here has no highlights, no specularity, right? And the next one, this is a beautiful fingernail, right? Must be a really, really interesting individual. You guys can tell by, actually, it's my fingernail. Anyways, so this is my thumbnail. And then here's another one right here, high resolution. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna download the 3 images right here, okay? And then, let me move this to one side. Perfect. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna load them into ZBrush, okay? I already have mine downloaded, so I'm going to go ahead right now and bring them in. Okay, so how do you use the Lightbox, and how do we load in textures? Okay, to load in a texture, you guys are gonna go to texture, this icon right here, right above your materials, right? And we can import an image right here, right? And this is how you guys are going to load your texture. So I'm gonna select one of these textures right here for now. I'm gonna select this one right here because it's very neutral. The lighting is very neutral. If you guys look at the one that I took of my thumbnail, there's a shaded area, non-shaded area, and this one right here has a highlight on the top, okay? So you could fix this in Photoshop, but I'm gonna use this one right here. I'm gonna click on open. Perfect. So you guys will notice that I have this right here, and it's right here at the bottom, okay? All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our textures palette, and you guys will see that our fingernails right here with some very basic images, right? And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to select my fingernail, and then these buttons right here are gonna light up. I have transparent texture, anti-alias texture, and then we have the spotlight on and off, okay? This is how we're gonna be able to bring up our spotlight, right? Then this one right here is add to spotlight, which is what we're gonna do to bring in this image right now. This will allow us to flip this image horizontally, vertically, right? Or rotate it, okay? And this does an invert, okay? If you guys know Adobe Photoshop inverts, what it does the opposite colors, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do is with this image selected right here, and again, you guys can import here and all that stuff. I'm gonna click on add to spotlight. And when you do that, the spotlight is gonna turn on, okay? So the spotlight is a very interesting tool. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead right now and go over this tool right here. It's not a complicated tool. I have an entire video that covers every single one of these. But what I wanna do, I wanna show you guys that I'm going to move this image right here by moving the inside of this dial. When you guys select anywhere on the outside, you guys are going to click in a different part of your image, okay? The center of the image is that little orange dot that you guys can see right here. Okay, because my fingernails is one polygroup. If I go Shift F, right, you'll see that these guys, let me hide the line. you'll see that the fingernails are one polygroup. If I go Shift Control and I click on the fingernails, right, I can change the color of my polygroup, but at the end of the day, my polygroups are going to be the same color because they are, as you guys can see, one single polygroup, okay? I can separate these into the individual polygroups, but I may not need that, okay? All right, we're gonna hide everything but the fingernails. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to load our first fingernail, okay? We're gonna go to Texture, and we're gonna click on Import. And we are going to go to our project source images. So find your project, go to your source images, and you should have your fingernails there. I'm going to upload the other two, right? I already have one uploaded, as you guys can see. So I'm gonna upload my fingernail, my thumbnail right here. And again, you guys will see them right here under texture. They will be in the quick picks. They're also under the textures right here. And to do this one more time, just to show you guys can go to the textures to the left side and then click right here at the bottom, import, and find your fingernails. All right, so there's two ways to import textures. One here and one under the actual texture, okay? This button right here, guys, that says texture is this button right here, okay? So what I did is I copied. You guys can see that when I go over it, it highlights with a white frame, okay? All right, what I want you guys to do, I want you guys to select one of your fingernails. It doesn't matter which one. I'm gonna select this one right here. And you guys are going to click on this far right button right here that says Add to Spotlight. As soon as you guys click on that, notice that when I select this one right here, it's all gray. But when I click on it, after I select it, boom, it is going to launch Spotlight, okay? Then to add another image to Spotlight, and by the way, to move this, you guys gonna move inside of the ring, okay? This ring right here is important. Outside of the ring, all it's gonna do is just place your object, your ring, in a different part of the image. To move the actual image, you have to move the inside of the ring, okay? And we're gonna use the second icon right here. The first one is called Rotate, right? And this right here is your rotate tool. This one is going to be our scale tool. You guys can see the icon looks like a scale tool. So what you guys can do is you can rotate this image right here, right? And then move it to one side like so, okay? To have multiple images, what we can do is we can go back to texture, right? All right, so to add another image, or to add multiple images, the best thing to do is to go to the texture, right? Select multiple images, 1, 2, and 3, right? And then just add them, okay? You can add one at a time, and notice that you can move them around, you can scale them, okay? And you can just move them out of the way, okay? This is if you guys want to use different types of nails. You guys can put one right here. Again, texture, select this guy right here now, right? And click on the far right button, Add to Spotlight, shrink it, and now we have 3 fingernails, okay? So these fingernails right here, these images are fingernails, right? You can select a different image, ladies and gentlemen, by just clicking on an image. And you guys will notice that the ring will jump to that other image and you will get an orange highlight. So if I click on this one, the ring jumps onto this image and it gets highlighted or framed in orange, okay? And then we have a series of icons. I'll go over these ones real quick. This allows us to pin an image, okay? This one right here allows us to change what's called this spotlight radius. We'll see that when we start painting. It's almost like whatever you guys paint, it'll fade to nothing. All right, this one right here is the opacity. If you guys click on this one and you go like this, it's gonna make it 100% opaque or transparent, okay? And this is a dial right here, perfect. The next one is the background opacity, or it has to deal with 2 images on top of each other. This one right here is quick select. Whoops, quick select. This one right here is fade. When you guys click on this and you fade it, it's gonna, instead of being transparent, it's gonna fade to black. Okay, the image is gonna fade to black. This one right here is quick select. And we're gonna go to the tiles proportional. We're gonna look at these three guys right here. Tile proportional, tile selected, and tile unified. So those three are used to organize your images. So if I click on tile proportional and I click and drag, look what happens to your images, okay? Actually, the tile proportional, go ahead and click on it, guys, and notice that your three images will be placed on one side, okay? That is the icon below the recycle, the quick select. You guys see that? So click on this image right here, Ian. Click on this icon right here, and that it'll put your three images on top of each other to one side. The next one, like for example, guys, go ahead and select one of these. You select one of them, right? And then click on the next icon. That is called tile selected. When you guys click on that, the one that you guys selected will become very big. Everything else will become very small. Again, if you guys want to select this one and switch, select this one right here, and then it will switch. So you guys are right now in what's called tile selected, okay? The next one is called tile unified. What tile unified is going to do is the same thing as tile proportional. Tile unified is going to make all of the images the same height, same width, if possible, okay? So this is how we organize our images right here. The next series of icons, the front, the back, is to switch images on top of each other, okay? We're not gonna worry about these guys right here. The delete, this is how you guys delete an image. Duplicate, this is union, so two images will become one. Snapshot 3D, frame, and edge, okay? These guys right here, we're not gonna worry about these ones right here. We're mostly gonna be worrying about these guys right here on the top, okay? All right, so what I want you guys to do, to get out of, not to get out of here, if you guys go to texture, you'll notice that the turn on spotlight shortcut is Shift F. So when you guys go to sorry, I forgot how to read. Shift Z. If you guys go to Shift Z, look what's gonna happen. You're gonna turn on and off your light box. You guys see that? Shift Z. Shift Z. That will turn that on and off. Okay? So click anywhere on the canvas. All right. Bring up your spotlight, guys. So Shift Z. Perfect. Bring up your spotlight, guys, and now hit Z. Z will make your ring appear and disappear. Okay? So that you guys can have your images. And this is what we would use if you guys want to use an image to look at and sculpt somebody or sculpt something as a reference. Does that make sense? Okay? All right, so what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to click on one of these images. We're going to click on Z. And I want you guys to bring in one of these images. And again, select the right image. Make sure that you guys have tile proportional, right? And select one of your images. To move the ring itself, guys, you have to go inside of the orange circle. That will not do anything from your images. And when you guys click on the image, it will select this image right here. It will go on the top, okay? So tile proportional and tile unified, right? Whatever you guys select, okay? The one in the middle where the ring is will be the one that you guys selected. You guys see that? If you guys have the first one, tile proportional, right? Whatever image you guys select, okay, it will go, the ring will go on top of it as, you know, I wanted to use this one, okay? All right, so go ahead, guys, grab, I'm gonna go to tile unified. I'm gonna select this one right here at the bottom, and I'm gonna move this nail right here, like this, and I'm gonna put this, and by the way, this orange little dot right here, guys, this is the center of your image. So when you guys click on the little orange, it'll put the dial in the middle, okay? It's not doing it because maybe I'm too zoomed in, right? Again, to move the dial, you just move it out of the way. you guys can tell that this image right here is the one that you're working on because it has an orange frame and this orange dot. When you guys click right here in the middle, it'll put your dial in the middle. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to lower the opacity, right? And remember, the opacity is going to be the 5th icon from the top. Okay, I'm gonna be referring to this icons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna lower the opacity of your image. You're going to move the image by clicking on this area, not in the center, because the center moves the dial, right? You're gonna click right here and you're gonna move your nail so that it is in the middle of the actual fingernail. And then you guys are gonna scale this down by selecting the 2nd icon. And you're gonna scale this so that your nail matches the nail that you guys sculpted, okay? It doesn't have to be 100% identical, but it'll do its job, okay? Okay, we have now the ability to paint this image right here, right, onto our model, okay? Let me make this a little bit bigger right here. Like this. I'm going to move this right about here, okay? And then I'll touch up the rest by hand, okay? All right, so remember guys, Shift F will make your light box disappear. Sorry, Shift Z will make it disappear, right? And Z brings up the dial on and off. So when we want to paint, we want to have no dial. Does that make sense? Okay? So to paint, what we're going to do is we're going to select a standard. All right, we're going to select the standard. For our stroke, we're going to select either dots or freehand. It doesn't matter. And we're going to turn off the alpha. What this is going to allow us to do, and remember, we're working in RGB, ladies and gentlemen, all right? RGB. What this will allow us to do is to, let me get rid of lazy mouse. I'm going to hide my polygroups. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub this image right here, like this, okay? Wait a second. 1 second. All right, what happened there? All right. Let's move this alt right here. Okay, so this is where my image was, right? Again, guys, try not to move the object. What you want to do is you want to move the image. Again, Shift F. I keep doing that. Shift Z, and then Z, okay? So you're going to put your image right here, all right? You're going to select this scale, the second one. You're going to scale the image to match your drawing to the best of your ability. You guys can put the image here. You guys can rotate your image if need to. You guys see how I'm rotating the image so that the cuticles match right here? Right here we have a bunch of tools, which is called, this one's called the paint, right? That will allow you to paint colors and stuff like that. This is the nudge, guys. So what the nudge is going to allow you to do, right, is to move these guys around, right? So if I go to nudge, okay, notice that nothing happens right here. But the nudge is so that you guys can move your parts of the images. But what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to quickly paint this right here, and then we're going to touch it up with our paint colors, okay? All right, so hide the dial by hitting Z. Remember, Shift Z will hide the whole thing. Z will hide the dial. Once the dial is hidden, all you need is a standard brush with stroke and an alpha. And then what you're going to do is you're going to literally rub the image like one of those water decals, okay? It'll go like this right here, okay? But there's a problem. Watch this, guys. Shift Z. You guys notice that my fingernails right here are too pink. That is because my material was a light pink. So what I'm going to do for color, okay, RGB, I'm going to fill this with white. So I'm going to select white for color. And I'm going to go to, oops, right here. I'm going to go to fill object. And what this is going to do is going to fill my fingernails with paint. Do you guys see that? So now when I bring in my image and I paint it like this, I'm going to get the true color right here of my photograph. You guys saw how easy that was to do? Right? To touch it up, right, what I can do to touch up my fingernail, like if I want, well, you know, I'm not too happy with my fingernail because the striations, those lines, are not too straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I don't know why I'm painting so small. Let me go right here so you guys can see this. I'm recording this anyways, right? Okay, again, remember, you don't want to rotate the object. You want to rotate the image. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to scale it up like so. And if you guys are asking yourself, well, is this image right here reducing the resolution when I shrink it? Actually, no. Okay, you're not reducing the resolution of your image at all. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay. All right, perfect. I will touch that up in a second. Okay, so once this is gone, with my standard brush, with freehand, I can just go ahead and paint this right here. And now you guys will notice that I will overwrite the previous paint when I go Shift F to hide the whole thing. And this is how you paint using Photograph, guys, okay?
How do you do that? I just use...
All right, so now I'm gonna paint the other fingernails. And what I'm gonna do, again, zoom in, right mouse button, Control, and then pan, right mouse button, Alt, and Shift Z will open up your light box, and then Z will give you the dial. Okay, if I want to switch my images, guys, I'm going to click on this image right here, and then swap the images. You guys see that? If I click on this one, it's going to swap the images. This is the beauty of our Tile Unified. Again, if I select this image right here and I move it and I make it bigger, right? Like this. All right, and I'm ready to paint right here. I have really bad nails. I just realized that. Okay, if I want to paint this right here, okay, and I go, no, I want to switch images, just click on this image right here and it will swap it. You guys see that? Okay, so once you guys are ready to paint, make sure, guys, that your opacity is set, whoops, not the scale, Frank. Make sure, guys, that the opacity, ladies and gentlemen, the fifth icon is set to 100, right? Because if not, you guys are going to paint using a dimmed or a faded image, okay? Then hit Z, make your brush big, rub the image, make sure that you guys are RGB only, right? And then go Shift Z, and there you have it. You guys saw how quickly that one was to do? All right. And again, Shift Z will bring up our light box. And then what I can do, Z, bring up the dial, lower my opacity so I can see the fingernail underneath, right? Move the image. Right, I'm gonna actually move, I'm gonna move the image right here. I'm going to enlarge, scale this one right here. Actually, I'm gonna switch images. I'm gonna go to this one right here. Perfect. I'm gonna put this image right about here.
I think I just made the nail shorter. That's okay, or just...
Don't worry about that. We'll paint it by hand. Let me show you guys a couple of things. These icons right here, guys. We have Extend V. What this is going to do, guys, it is going to extend your image like this. It just splits it, okay? This one on the H, okay? It just looks at these lines right here and extends them, right? But we also have No, this is the mirror. This will mirror your images, right? That's why I never use those. The tiling, guys, is going to give you guys a bunch of extra copies like this, right? Which is horrendous. The restore, when you guys click on the restore, that is going to restore your image to its original thing. Clone is going to clone the image. Contrast, you guys can add more contrast. So let me bring up the opacity up. So these guys right here, the contrast guys, is going to give you more contrast on this image right here, right? Less contrast, and so on. Again, when I click on restore, restore. That's weird. There we go. It restores it. Okay, this one right here, guys, this is the smudge. So what this smudge is going to do, let me go to opacity. What this smudge is going to do, it is going to smudge your image, right? Not a big fan of it, especially if you guys have no focal shift, right? But it's not my favorite, okay? The smudge tool, it just does this right here. All right. This one right here is contrast. I show you guys that saturation. When you guys click on this, it is going to give you more or less saturation. Hue is going to change the colors. Intensity is going to make them more intense. And then paint, okay? So we're going to go back to this tool right here. Let's get rid of paint. I'm going to go to scale. I'm going to scale this guy up. I'm going to move this guy right about here. Fantastic. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Z, right? I'm going to show you guys how to paint two versions of this. All right. So I'm going to paint the bottom of my nail like this, right? You guys see that? You know, even though my opacity is really low, right? I can still, let me lower this guy down. Even though my opacity is really low, guys, I can paint 100%, okay? And now what I'm going to do, Z, I'm going to bring up the top of my nail right here. And I'm going to paint this part here. Move the top of my nail here. And little by little, I can paint parts of my image, right, onto the actual sculpture. And you would end up with something that looks like this. Needs a little bit of touch up, right? But this is how you can add this over here. Does that make sense, guys? Yes. Okay. So if you guys need to retouch it, bring up the spotlight, bring out this guy right here, Z, hide the spotlight. And by the way, guys, when you guys paint, you don't have to paint at 100% opacity. You guys can reduce the opacity. And now look, I'm going to paint this part right here. Right? Let me bring up the opacity. Okay, that's not the greatest job I've ever done before, but I can do a combination of two different images. Z to bring up my 3D gizmo. Click on this image. I'm going to lower my opacity. And now look, I'm going to use a combination of two separate images to paint this guy right here. Voila. Not the greatest job, but you guys see that? Okay, so I used two images to paint one. I'm still not too happy with this, right? I'm going to switch material, guys. I'm going to fill this object right here, not with this shiny nail. I'm going to use my skin shader, M, and I'm going to go to fill object. This is going to kill my, my highlight, guys, okay? So what I did, guys, do you guys see that? I use M for material, and I use my skin shade 4, which is that flat color, right? Don't use flat color, that's more for cartoony. I use the one called skin shade 4 right here. And then M for material, fill object, okay? And then I'm gonna go back to RGB, Shift Z, Z to bring in the dial, and I'm going to repaint this fingernail one more time. I'm not too happy with it. So let's go to paint. It's better to do this with a big brush like this. Ah, much better. You guys see that? This part's right here, I'll paint in my hand. This part right here, the bottom, I can move this one, make it a little bit bigger, like this. And then make my brush small so I don't waste the top of the part. And then look, I can touch up the bottom like so. All right, so then what I would do for this part of the nail, I would use a small brush and then C, sample the color. I will start painting these areas right here. C, right? Sample the color. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. And I can do that right here too. C, sample this color right here. And I don't have to put too much pressure, but I can do this right here. And same thing right here. C, to sample this color. And if you guys want a hard brush, make sure, guys, that your focal shift is -100. And then you guys can even paint stuff that is really, really sharp like this. If you guys need to blur these parts right here, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you guys hit Shift, and then you guys can blur all of this stuff like so. Perfect. So I got most of my nails done. Sounds weird. All right, I'm gonna fix this right here. Again, C to sample the color. I'm actually gonna paint this yellow right here on the other nails. And this right here, guys, is just a start, okay? When you guys are painting with this right here, you're just adding these right here, okay? Like so. Again, then I'm gonna touch these guys up right here. Has anybody seen what their nails look like with the actual painted skin? I'm gonna select my alpha, and for my alpha, I'm going to select this alpha 30, alpha 44, alpha, let's go with the alpha 40. That's gonna give me a really thin line so I can do stuff like this. All right, it's too small. So I'm gonna go to the alpha 44. You can see what I can do with this one right here? Lines, okay? So I can paint these lines right here. C, sample that color. Right? And I can paint single lines like this. All right, so that my fingernails look a little bit more cracked, right? Hopefully that's not my fingernail. That's one of the other fingernails, right? And then you guys can sample a darker color, C, right? And then you guys can paint that color like so and create some really, really cracked fingernails that will make a mother's proud.
Does it have to be like something that is old?
No, but remember, this is an old character, right? This is Santa Claus's dad. So I would think that his nails would have been pretty cracked after all those years working, delivering packages, right? But I just want you guys to see that you guys have full control on what you guys are painting, okay? Let's see what this looks like with our actual paint. Shift Control. Ooh, look at that. They're not bad. They're not bad, okay? We're going to put some sculpted textures real quick, okay? Because of time, let me show you guys how to sculpt the textures in our fingernails. Okay. All right, so let's pretend that I'm done with my fingernails, right? And I want to sculpt something on this object right here. These fingernails right here, as you guys can see, right? They're very, very smooth. If I switch my material, guys, M for material. If I switch this to that glossy, where are you? That toy plastic, right? Remember, I'm not filling with color. I'm filling this with material only, M, right? Do you guys see that I get that really nice shiny thing? But it looks like a soda can. It's very, very smooth. All right, so what we're gonna do, guys, is I'm going to sculpt. I'm gonna disable M and RGB, and I'm going to sculpt, and I wanna show you guys this really cool tool. Standard brush. For my stroke, guys, I'm gonna do a drag rectangle, okay? And for my alpha, I'm gonna select this weird looking lines right here, alpha 60, okay? And look what's gonna happen. You guys see this right here?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want this. I want to go in the opposite direction. What is the opposite of sculpting? Adding or subtracting? Subtracting, exactly. I'm going to lower my intensity to something like a 10, and now look. Okay, see that? I'm going to create these lines right here. And I'm just going to create a bunch of lines. And now look at my fingernails. See that? Let me change the toy plastic, M for material. I'm gonna swap this to, let's go for that reflective plastic. Fill object. No, that's not what I want. Oh, I gotta hide these guys right here. So Shift Control, I'm gonna click on the fingernails and that, well, let me see. Fill object. And I'm going to move this right here. It doesn't look bad. Let's see. So what I'll do, guys, I can select now my sculpture tools. The stroke, guys, the drag rectangle, you click and you drag and your images look like this, okay? Whatever you're dragging. So if I go to, for example, alpha 62, right? I can use my drag rectangle and look, I can add those lines right there. Right? If I go big intensity, it's going to be huge lines right here, right? And you don't want to sculpt like this because you're actually sculpting on the hand, right? What you want to do is you want to Shift Control, hide the fingernails, and now you can sculpt to your heart's content. Another thing that I can do is just go to freehand and select that alpha 44, and I can sculpt this by hand like this. All right, I don't know if you guys can see this. Or I can use my dam standard. Okay, I can go to dam standard, and then with the dam standard, which I think is going to be better. And remember, guys, I'm smoothing, not my paint. Do you guys see that? Whoops. I'm going Shift, and I'm disabling RGB so I don't smooth my paint, and I'm only smoothing my geometry like so. And with the dam standard, what I'm going to do is I'm going to enhance those lines like this. which actually I like better than using a drag and drop brush. And there you have it. This is how you create sculptures using paint, but also sculpting once you have painted your images so that your sculpture matches your painting. You guys see what I'm doing right here? I'm painting inside of the dark areas. Perfect. See what this looks like. Shift control, bring up everything. Ooh.
What is it? Oh,
See that?
yeah.
You guys see the difference between lame right here and sculpted and painted nails using a photograph. You ready, Cole?
Yeah.
All right, 1 second. All right.